Hey, this is Matt once again. What about another video? This is another paid request. This time for Edward. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate that. And for those interested in requesting pretty much any type of videos, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box under pretty much each of these videos. And it could be a request for pretty much anything. Commentary, reaction, review, re-review, topic, randomness, whatever it may be. Now this is two more episodes of South Park Season 10, Episodes 3 and 4. Which I really did enjoy this. I thought this was a very nicely done two-parter episode. The Cartoon Wars. And probably known to be some of the more recognizable, memorable South Park episodes. Because at the time, Matt Stone and Trey Parker were having some issues with Comedy Central, the network, because they wanted to do a joke with Muhammad and show it. And the network's like, no, you can't say that. You can't show it. At least in this light in particular, because we don't want to risk anything happening where someone gets hurt. Because probably to this day, they say if you make fun of Muhammad or this and that, there'll be some terroristic acts and violence and bombs, and those threats did happen. And Matt Parker and Trey Stone were like Trey Parker and Matt Stone. I don't know why I keep messing those fucking names up. Trey and Matt, they said, well, this is still kind of a bit of terrorism. This is into the regard of freedom of speech. You should be able to talk about whatever you want, think about whatever you want. That's what we're doing. And as they showcase here, like if you give in, you're given the notion that terrorism works. And it's like, well, if this works, then as my nose is getting fucking allergic to the bullshit, but it's real bullshit, that if you give into this, then what else do you give into? If you give someone an inch, they give you don't have to give a mile. And she might like that, but he might be too tired. But if that works, then can you not make fun of any religion? Okay, if you can't make fun of religion, then what else can you make fun of? Can you make fun of topics like politics, politicians, certain celebrities? What else? I mean, that's in a way the PC age of today. Much of the PC age of today. And that's that freedom of speech is very adamant for these guys who created South Park, and it's a valid issue. Now I know, or at least from what I heard, one of the things they were disappointed in is that in the long run, more people remember the Family Guy stuff. Because Family Guy is very much a part of these two episodes, and they talk a lot of shit about Family Guy because they do not like Family Guy. Trey and Matt do not like Family Guy at all. I know they're a bit upset that the message of Muhammad and the censoring and freedom of speech kind of got skipped and skimmed over by the public. It was more about Family Guy, Family Guy. They talk about Family Guy. They shit on Family Guy. I enjoyed it because of both of those aspects, but I can see why people thought more of the Family Guy aspect, because it's very... It feels like that becomes more adamant, especially when you get to the second part. I mean, Muhammad is mentioned, talked about, but Family Guy, when you're showing your version of Family Guy, when you have the whole things with the manatees, and this is how they get ideas for Family Guy, when you put in The Simpsons and Team of the Hill and Part 2, because, from what I understand, when Part 1 of this, Episode 3, aired, The Simpsons and Team of the Hill thanked them, because they don't like Family Guy. Like, The Simpsons, I guess, sent them flowers, and Team of the Hill, someone said, you're doing God's work. Because, they hate Family Guy as well. Because none of them like Family Guy. Because Family Guy, not only was again very popular, but they felt... I mean, they even said here, because the setup is Family Guy is going to be airing an episode, and they're going to show Muhammad, and the town of South Park, just like everything else, they go over the top and get very scared. And oh my God, there's going to be end of the world, and we're all going to get bombed. Cartman, you can tell, doesn't like Family Guy. Kyle does like Family Guy. It gets censored. At times, they show real footage of like Osama bin Laden and other people. Like they show real footage of them, but they on the subtitles they put how much they hate Family Guy, and it's not well written. The jokes are interchangeable. And I don't know why Trey and Matt are so surprised that people think more about the Family Guy stuff, because so much of that is much more apparent. So that it feels like 70% Family Guy and 30% this Muhammad thing. It really does feel like that swerve where Cartman will stop, where Kyle's like, oh, you should like Family Guy, it's got your sense of humor. And then Cartman gets really pissed and goes, don't ever compare me to Family Guy. When I try to be funny, they're part of a story. And viewers take notice of that because that's a very uncommon thing for Cartman to say and to talk. So that's real talk. This is how the creators actually feel. Because I'm sure they were asked to say, how come we don't like Family Guy? It's the same thing, right? No, it's not. And they get very offended by that. And they let Cartman voice that feelings. Now, to be fair, at the beginning of episode 3 is a bit more like Muhammad. It's going to air, yeah, Family Guy's airing it, but people are steered and censored. And Kyle even has a nightmare that his whole town gets burned up. So that's why he decides to join Cartman on his journeys, because Cartman says, this is offensive, it's offensive to Muslims. And so Kyle believes Cartman. Of course, we all know there's something else going on. But then it's much more about Family Guy. Cartman, his hatred of Family Guy. When the terrorists are talking, they're talking about Family Guy. I mean, the fucking episode is called The Cartoon Wars. Not, right to censor or anything about censorship. It's literally called The Cartoon Wars. So, as you watch it, to the audience, it easily feels more like a condemning Family Guy seems more of the top spot, a priority, not the censor stuff. It's part of it, but I think it's one of those things that, Matt and Stone can demand all they want. Number one, it's still a great 2-part episode. I think it's some of their best stuff of what I've seen. Number two, I think it's one of those things they got really, like they do, they get this chip on their shoulder and they push the Family Guy hate. And I'm not a fan of Family Guy either. Simpsons, I like the early stuff. King of the Hill is good. I love Robot Chicken. I've grown to like South Park. Family Guy I'm not a fan of. I too am not a fan of the cutaway gags. It's very all the time. And I think their version of Family Guy is actually pretty funny. And fairly truthful. But I think they got that chip on their shoulder, really hating Family Guy, and that took priority, a lot of the writing, a lot of the jokes. So I think that overshadowed their true message. And then, like, at the very end of episode 4, at the very end of the second part of this 2-part episode, they try to put it back in, but it's a bit too little too late, and there's still people like me and others that do get it and enjoy that part of it. But there's a lot of people that either, ooh, they took digs at Family Guy, ooh, shit. Or they also didn't like Family Guy and they enjoy the trashing of a show. They agree and they're despising. And there's also bits of that, like episode 3, the first part of this 2-parter, when Kyle joins Cartman. I think there's some nice music. I like the score, how it's serious and like a little bit emotional it gets. I thought that was a nice different take on the musical score. And they go off on their tricycles, and then of course Kyle realizes that Cartman's full of shit, and he's doing it because he hates Family Guy, and that's his big priority, is to get the show taken down. He doesn't care about Muslims. And then they try to have this race, and I like that they try the animation with the wide shots and them facing the camera and bumping each other. It makes it look like a very dangerous journey, dangerous car chase, but only with tricycles. I thought that was very fun. That was very entertaining. With the way the music was incorporated to it, there's like a cop following them, and for some reason he's swerving, because of course it's got to flip over. And even Kyle, he can't control his tricycle, he jumps off, and of course when it falls off, it has to explode. And then when you get to part 2, even more so, where they still try to put that censorship is wrong, and you're giving into it with what Kyle's words are saying. And in episode 4, there's a Terrence and Phillip little film that also got censored, and they're kind of speaking what Matt and Trey would say, and probably the network probably said to them, "You're preachy, you forgot to be funny anymore." I wouldn't be surprised if that was a real thing said to Trey and Matt by someone at the higher, either someone at the network or some other people probably said the same thing. But when a good chunk of it, the thing that people remember, they don't remember that bit with Terrence and Phillip. They remember, oh my god, you got someone that looks like Bart Simpson. And you got a conversation where the two talked about how much you hate Family Guy. And, you know, Bart Simpson's like, oh yeah, it's not Bart, but it's supposed to be Bart Simpson. He's got the same hair. And, you know, the kid says, oh, I'm a bad, you know, I'm a bad kid. I stole a head from a statue. And Cartman tells about, well, there's this kid I didn't like, and I killed his parents and made him eat it. And then, you know, Bart's like, okay, I'm going. I keep saying Bart, but it's Bart Simpson. And like I said, that they put that in there because King of the Hill and Simpsons liked their previous episode. And then they also put a King of the Hill reference because there's a bit where Kyle and Cartman get in the slap fight, and they're going through the animation studio of King of the Hill. And like the episode will show real footage of Bin Laden. He's just talking shit about Family Guy. Family Guy writing such is just a bunch of manatees, and they get just random letters or verbs, and you put them together, and there's a joke. That's how easy it is. It's lazy. It's a bit old knock against Family Guy and how they feel about the jokes and the writing and the laziness in their eyes. And my favorite bit of these two is when Kyle and Cartman, they're getting ready to fight, and it's like a slap fight. And just how long it goes is like this tracking shot. That's what it's going through, like King of the Hill studio, and then it's going in the back. And it's still a reminder of these are kids, and the fact that it's so pulled out, and just the sounds of the slapping. Come on, Kyle, it's too hard, you know. No, don't go for the balls. No hitting the balls. No hitting the balls. Just like how simple and in a way cute it is. Like this is like the cutest fight. It is a reminder of these are little kids, and this is how they would fight. And like you have the great fight with two other characters that was a reference of They Live with Timmy and Jimmy. And then this is a different fight, just idea that there's like a lack of music, and you just hear sounds of, and they're going. That I thought was very funny, very cute. I thought that was my favorite part of it. Just the way it was staged. I thought that was very well done, very effective. And then the episode ends with hey, if you give in, you're giving into what they want, terrorism, blah blah blah. So Fox, Family Guy, they decide to air the episode, but then at the very end, pretty much you see a title card that said Comedy Central blot us showing Muhammad. Now, I don't know if that was they tried to work it out to show it, not show it, and the end of the negotiations was, okay, they're not letting us show us, so we gotta put this tower card, or if they put it in there on purpose as this final nail in the coffin against the network censoring it from a I don't know the details on that. And then the terrorist attack was just them making their own animation, making fun of America and doing a really shit job at it. Oh, we burned you guys, yeah. But yeah, the way they incorporate like the Simpsons, King of the Hill, Family Guy, the fact that I'm not a fan of Family Guy, so them taking shots at Family Guy, I thought was rather fitting, rather cathartic in a way. I thought it was a nice, quite a bit of nice stuff for Cartman to get to do, whether it be the tricycle battle with Kyle or the slap fight, the talking with the Bart but not Bart Simpson. I thought it got his message of the censoring, but the family stuff was more entertaining. And that's what the thing, at the end of the day, most people go watch this for entertainment. That's why they're watching South Park. They appreciate the message, but they go for entertainment. And the stuff dealing with Family Guy was the more entertaining aspects. Why are they fighting? To not get Family Guy canceled. Granted, there's more to it, but that's kind of the big gist of that fight between Kyle and Cartman. I like Family Guy. No, I'm going to get it done because it sucks. Like, that's the big plot point. And people are drawn to those characters, and the moments between them are like the best parts of these 2 episodes. So yes, Matt and Trey, that is one of the many reasons why when people looked at it, they took more out of the Family Guy aspect and not as much as the message part. Plus also, people don't like to be preached to. They can appreciate it, but there's a lot of more people that don't preach to me. This ain't church. Get your ass to church, you need to do it. But I do think so far these are easily the 2 best episodes of the season. The 2 best I've seen in a while for South Park, as Edward is thankfully taking me on this journey through these South Park episodes. So I really enjoy this. Very solid. Definitely some of this is what if you were to ask me which episodes to give to someone who's never seen South Park, I would say these 2 are good starting points. This 2 parts, South Park season 10, episode 3 and 4. This would be a good. You just start, of course, from the beginning, but which episodes, would you recommend to someone who's down to South Park? These would work, at least to me. There's others, but this is definitely in that category. I quite enjoyed it. So with that said, thanks for watching. We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.